Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing another chill one where I just sit here and talk to you guys about stuff and things. And if you enjoy videos like this, then please make sure to give this a thumbs up and stay subscribed to my channel if you're not already. And ring the bell so that you get notified every time I post a video. And let's get on to it. Okay, so for today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys all about modesty. So let's dive in. So first off, I want to clarify a couple things. So there are two types of modesty at play here, and I just want to get this off the table just right off the top of the bat, just so that we avoid any further confusion later on in this video. So basically what we've got going on here is there is modesty of heart and mind, and there is modesty of body. Now I'm just going to explain briefly what those are and what they mean. So modesty of heart and mind is about, thinking pure thoughts and having a pure mind and a pure heart. And modesty of body is how much skin you're showing. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So the next thing I want to clarify for you is that these two types of modesty do not go hand in hand. I've had a lot of people that think that they go together or they're interchangeable, and they're not. I've had lots of people say like, oh, I know girls who are like total hoes, but they wear sweatsuits. And I've known wonderful, godly Christian girls who wear bikinis. And I'm like, you know what? That's great. She's a godly Christian girl. Her heart and mind is in the right place, but she's still wearing a bikini. Like, where her heart and mind is has no effect on what she's wearing. She's still wearing a bikini, and frankly, the fact that she's a Christian, it's even more sad to me that she thinks it's okay to dress like that, because as Christians, we are taught to save our bodies for the person that we marry. So frankly, that's even more sad to me if I see a godly Christian girl who somehow thinks it's fine to wear a bikini. And the same goes for the hoe with the sweatsuit. Just because she's acting like a hoe, I'm not going to look at her and go, man, that is the most revealing sexy sweatsuit I've ever seen. I'm not going to even notice what she's wearing. I'm just going to notice, wow, that girl is really acting inappropriate and immodest with her behavior. That's what I'm going to get out of that. I'm not going to see that, oh wow, that's a really inappropriate swimsuit to go with that attitude. No, those two don't go together at all. She's wearing a sweatsuit, big deal. She's still acting immodest. She's still acting in a way that is displeasing. So her impure and immodest mind and heart don't turn what she's wearing into an immodest piece of clothing if it isn't already. And godly Christian girl with her mind and her heart in the right place doesn't make her bikini any more modest. It's still a bikini. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way and sort of cleared things up for you, I'm just going to clarify that for the most part, what I'm going to be talking about in this video is modesty of body. However, I might occasionally also bring up modesty of heart. So my next main point here that I want to discuss is the notion that modesty is all about where your heart is, and guys need to learn to control themselves. This is absolutely false because, as I said earlier, modesty of mind and heart and modesty of body are two completely different things. So you can be as pure as you want with your mindset, but if you're wearing a low-cut top or a sexy prom dress, you're still wearing a low-cut top or a sexy prom dress. And if you reveal that much of your body, you can't just expect a man to control himself. That's kind of not how life works. Sorry to break it to you. So this brings up a really good analogy that I read somewhere. There was an article about this. And basically it was a woman in a grocery store who loses track of her child. What is the woman's reaction to losing her child in the grocery store? She panics. Does she choose to panic? No. She doesn't sit there and think, what should I do now? I lost my kid. Oh, I have a good idea. Let's panic. No, that's not how it works. Her initial reaction, she doesn't choose to panic. She just panics. Now, going on from there, she can choose what to do with that. If she wants to continue panicking, or if she wants to think logically and realize, okay, where was the last place I saw my kid? Oh, we were in the toy aisle. I bet he wasn't done looking at the toys. And then she goes back to the toy aisle and sure enough, there's her kid. You know what I'm saying? So to translate that into terms of modesty and a guy's reaction, their initial reaction to the revealing clothing that you're wearing is beyond their control. That's how men are. Men are visual, and they're going to have a physical reaction to what you're wearing if you're dressed inappropriately. Now, again, they can choose to go from there what they want to do. They can choose to continue thinking inappropriate and dirty thoughts about you, or they can be like, I can't do this, and they hide their eyes and look away because they don't want to be tempted to think sexual thoughts. So if they choose to mentally think dirty thoughts about you, that's their problem. And yes, they need to control themselves. But their initial reaction is beyond their control, so you can't expect them to look at you and not have an initial physical reaction. You can expect them to control themselves afterwards if they choose to do so. If they don't, that's kind of on them, but it's also still on you for dressing that way a little bit. So yeah, there you go. And going along with this, I've also had people act like, oh, well, I see guys shirtless on the beach and I'm drooling. Well, okay, whatever. But men are visual. That's how they're stimulated. Women are not visual in the same way that men are. So I'm a lot less likely to think inappropriate thoughts about a guy if I see him shirtless on the beach. I'm gonna be like, whatever, it's a shirtless guy on the beach. That's not inappropriate in comparison to a girl wearing an inappropriate bikini on the beach. Now, another thing I just wanted to throw in there, just in case there's any confusion or if any of you want to come at me, or, you know, I did wear a bikini top in my Coca-Cola video where I washed my hair with Coke. I was wearing a bikini top, but I had multiple reasons to do that. I contemplated standing in the shower with a swimsuit on, but I didn't want to get my whole body wet and sticky with Coca-Cola. I contemplated just wearing like a t-shirt, but I didn't want to stain it with Coca-Cola or anything. So I opted to wear a bikini top, but I picked a bikini top that is less revealing. So there you have it. Before you come at me, I was choosy about which bikini top that I wore for that video. So that brings me to kind of another point about bikinis in general. Do I think that bikinis should be outlawed? No, I'm saying there's a time and a place to wear a bikini. If you're gonna wear like a really revealing bikini, then you know you need to question your motives and why do you want to wear a revealing bikini? Do you want to get attention? Do you just feel good in it? You know, but if you want to wear a revealing bikini like that and get all the men to stare at you, then maybe you need to rethink your life choices, because if that's what makes you feel validated or feel comfortable, then that might be a little bit of a problem. But if you want to wear like a revealing bikini on a secluded or a private beach with your husband on your honeymoon, that is an entirely different matter, and that is your choice. As for bikinis on the beach, there are more modest bikinis that look more like a sports bra and like high-waisted bottoms that are full coverage. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the like really revealing ones that look like a thong and like eye patches. That's what I have an issue with. Women just wearing that on the beach and thinking it's fine. I just want to clarify too that's what I'm referring, that's the type of bikini that I'm referring to. So before anyone, I don't want anyone coming at me and saying, well, I wear the sports bra and like swim shorts, how dare you come at, no, that's not what I'm saying. Stomach, I have no issue with showing like some stomach and some shoulders. I'm talking about the bikinis where like half the woman's chest and half her butt are hanging out. That's the kind that I generally have an issue with, and I think that those should be saved for your husband. So there you go. Okay, so another important thing I want to bring up is whether or not it is okay for a girl's father to comment or have any say on what his daughter is wearing on the beach or at the pool or to a party or whatever, because there's more to immodest clothing than just swimsuits. There's prom dresses and shirts and those shorts that have half your butt hanging out. I'm not just talking about swimsuits here, but the question here is, should dads be allowed to teach their daughters about modesty and talk to their daughters about what they wear? Is that okay for a dad to comment on that? Because I have had people say too that that's not appropriate and that a man shouldn't be sexualizing his daughter. Well, granted, there are some men out there who shouldn't be dads and who have abused their daughters. That's a different matter. And in that case, yeah, then it's probably none of the dad's business to comment on what the daughter's wearing. But it's a loving Christian home with a Christian upbringing of the children, then yes, I think it is perfectly fine and acceptable for a dad to lovingly come alongside his daughter and say, hey, I want to talk to you and I want to explain why, that's not really the most appropriate swimsuit for you to be wearing, or, and talk about modesty and how, give from a godly perspective on how guys think and feel, and explain in a loving, fatherly way why it's not appropriate to dress that way. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And if you think there is, then I don't know, maybe you didn't have really a good dad growing up or something like that. But there honestly is nothing wrong with a father telling his daughter that what she's wearing is a little less than appropriate in a kind and loving way, as long as he's not using like too much terminology of like, oh, your breasts are hanging out too much or something like that. That might be a little weird. Or, oh, your butt's hanging out. As long as he's not saying stuff like that, then that could be a little bit of a problem, or it could just make her uncomfortable. But there are ways to go about it that are completely fine. And I think it's important for dads to teach their daughters about modesty in a healthy way, just because guys in general have, like I said, they're more visual than women are, and they're gonna have a different outlook on modesty, whereas, a mom saying, oh, I think that's fine, she can't get into a guy's head and see what he's going to think when he looks at her daughter in a revealing swimsuit. So that's definitely something important to think about. Okay, so I also want to talk a little bit about sexual abuse. A lot of people think that women are blamed for if they get raped, or that, you know, if people are talking about it, that they're automatically blaming a woman for getting raped. And maybe some people do, but the way I look at it is rapists, pedophiles, whatever, they're gonna be that way regardless. It doesn't really matter how you're dressed. If they want to take you, they will. Not saying that you're not making it easier for them to have what they want if you dress inappropriately, but even if you're covered head to toe with jeans and a hoodie, if they want you, they're still gonna take you. That's just how men are, because men want what they want and they're gonna go for it. So you should never blame a victim for what she was wearing. That's totally not cool, because frankly, the chances are that she had nothing to do with that. Now, as I've said, it's certainly way easier for guys to control themselves if you cover up, but there's a lot of evil in this world, and, you know, people are gonna come up with every excuse of why it's the victim's fault for the guy to do what they did, just because they want to be able to dress how they want to dress. And that's not okay, because that's just another issue that I'm seeing in today's culture, is because there's so much, you know, violence and abuse against women, people aren't seeing the fine line of when, no, that guy was a creep and actually needed to control himself, versus, no, he was trying really hard to control himself, but she made it extremely difficult for him to do so because of how she was dressed. You know, they just want to turn it all on the guy and say that they need to control themselves, and that's not always the case. There are, and I'll try to see if I can find one and link it below, but there were interviews I watched with Christian college boys who were begging girls to please cover up, because they said how distracting it was. They're trying to go to class or whatever, and they see a girl that's, you know, dressed inappropriately. They were complaining about how hard it was for them to keep their focus if a girl was dressed inappropriately. So you can't just tell a guy to control themselves if you're dressed really inappropriately. That's just not how that works, unfortunately. So I mean, if you're gonna dress like that, then you can't get mad if you get hit on or ogled by men, because you're asking for it with the way you dress. And I'm not trying to be harsh, I'm really not. I'm just stating that's, you know, that's a fact. And some men are better at controlling themselves than others, but men are very visual, and it's really hard for them to keep pure minds and pure hearts and pure thoughts if we don't cover up. And going along with that, it also says in the Bible that we are not to cause our brothers and sisters in Christ to stumble, and that includes covering up so that they don't stumble and think inappropriate thoughts. And another really good analogy I thought of for this was, if your best friend is on a diet, you're not gonna wave her favorite treat in her face and tempt her with it, are you? No. Why the heck would you do that? What kind of friend would you be if you didn't love him or her and support them in their diet and be there for them to help them make healthier choices or whatever it is? Like, you would never wave, you know, whatever it is they're trying to stay away from, whether it's, you know, fried chicken or cupcakes or ice cream or pizza, whatever it is that they've decided they need to eat less of. you wouldn't just wave it in their face and tempt them with it, or eat it right in front of them knowing they can't have any. That's just not cool. And I mean, I personally couldn't imagine doing that to my best friend. If she were wanting to stay away from something, the absolute last thing I would do is taunt her with it. That's just mean. So the same is true for modesty. If you know your guy friends are trying to be pure and have pure thoughts and save it for marriage and all that type of thing, you are not helping if you don't cover up. And maybe you think that's harsh, and maybe you think that's lame, and maybe you don't want to agree with me, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with me, but the truth of it is, like I said, men are visual, and we're really not helping if we don't cover up. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I guess in summary, what I kind of want you guys to take away from this is just that we need to be more respectful to the guys around us. And I suppose it's different if you're not a Christian and you're not marrying someone who's a Christian, then whatever. I mean, I still don't think you should flaunt your body for everybody, but maybe at least you're not marrying someone who's going to care that you've flaunted your body for all kinds of other men before you met him. But in the case of Christian women, we need to cover up and stay pure, because we are likely going to marry someone who shares our beliefs and, you know, expects us to cover up and save it. And that's the irony, is I've gotten a lot of this backlash I've gotten from fellow Christians, and that was really eye-opening for me, that there are Christians in this, that not all Christians believe the same thing. I thought that if you're a Christian, it's a given that you believe this, this, this. And then I learned, oh wait, there are Christians who think it's fine to wear a bikini top that looks like an eye patch and then just expect their guy to control himself. Like, that was totally new to me. So I guess just what I want you guys to take away from this, sorry I'm rambling, is, you know, as much as this is a topic of controversy and as much as people don't agree with this and whatever, if you want a guy to control himself, you really do need to cover up. Their initial reaction is beyond their control, and we're not helping if we wear something inappropriate. If someone gets raped or if a pedophile takes action, then those people are creeps, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do regardless of what you're wearing. But their initial reaction is something that we're not helping them to control if we flaunt half our body on the beach. But yeah, and on the subject of bikinis, I get like the ease of a two-piece. I get that. I totally get that. It's a lot easier to go to the bathroom if you don't have to take off the whole swimsuit. I totally get that. Like, I do wear bikinis occasionally if I'm like with my husband and we're secluded or whatever. But when I was a kid, I often wore like tankinis, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's the coverage of a one piece, but it's like a top and bottoms. That is certainly easier. There are also more modest bikinis out there that don't show off everything. Like I mentioned, the high-waisted bottoms and the top that looks more like a sports bra. I am totally fine with those. I don't have an issue with that. So if you're wanting to be more modest and cover up for guys on the beach, I know there are bikinis thrown at us in like every ad and every summer clothing section at every store ever, but there are modest options. You just might have to dig a little harder. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for this video. So hopefully this is going to be not quite as long as other stuff. I'm trying to do these a little shorter, but yeah, this is a topic that is important to me, and I just wanted to clear some things up. And yeah, comment down below if you have any thoughts on this, and what kinds of things you would like for me to talk about in future. And yeah, that is it, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.